Welcome into the Lifeline Morning Show. I'm Steven. It's always a blast hanging out with you. I absolutely love when we get the chance to bring in some really cool people. And one of them in particular, I didn't know anything about this guy until Braden Williams started interning here with me. And now Braden is starting his third week with us and doing a great job. But I learned about this outreach minister at his church, Geraldine First Baptist Church. And I'm like, this guy sounds really interesting. Braden, you think you might be able to line up an interview? He said, yeah, I think I can do that. So now I get the pleasure of going ahead and telling you about this guy. His name is Collin Mayfield, and he is the outreach minister at Geraldine First Baptist Church. And this guy is like super busy, like all the time. And we're going to hear a little bit more about what he's up to. Good morning to you. How are you, sir?
Thank you so much for having me. I'm really excited. This is a really cool setup you've got going in here. It's really awesome.
Oh, okay. Well, thank you so much for hanging out, man. We're so glad that you're here. So let me double check some things real quick. Make sure everything is on the up and up. There we go. I'm making sure that our Facebook, our YouTube, our Twitter, and our Instagram are up and running. Everything looking good, Braden? I think I'm seeing it here. So we're good to go. All right, so bringing you in because you do stay so busy. So we had a little bit of time to kind of catch up and see what you've been up to. But mission trips, vacations, you got something else scheduled coming up, going to Italy. Dude, you're just running all over the place. And I love what you're doing because, you know, today's Word of Life is talking all about telling people about your faith. And it sounds like that's something that you're pretty passionate about. Can you tell me a little bit about why you are the outreach minister there at Geraldine First Baptist?
Yeah, definitely. So, and this, lots of things in my life kind of tied back to running, but struggling with injury for the last 3 years, running was such a big part of my life, and Jesus always has been. But then when I got hurt, I kind of just turned to ministry. I'm like, okay, I'm not getting this joy from running anymore. I'm going to start doing it getting it from where I truly should have been the whole time. And so talking with my pastor for the longest time, he said he'd known for a long time that I might have a calling into ministry. And so outreach minister, that's probably something you haven't even heard of because lots of churches don't have one, but he wanted to give me a step into ministry. He's such a kingdom-minded guy. He's not worried about growing our church. And so lots of my responsibilities weren't just to, try to get people into our church. It was more just to, grow the kingdom. If I ever got invited to preach somewhere, that's something I could do. And so, it was a position that he just wanted me to have a step into ministry just so I could experience it for about a year. And it's been amazing. I've loved it. I've seen so much growth in our church, and not just from what I've done, but also lots of growth in me personally. I've loved it.
Yeah. Well, I love that you're talking about running here. Now, there's a little bit of a story, the reason why you got into running. And something about you got run over? What is this story? Tell me.
Yeah, so that actually is how I initially got my start into running. As a sophomore, I was so excited to finally start on our varsity baseball team. And after practice one day, I wasn't in a parking lot, so not completely my fault. My coach just got into his car, and I was sitting back there on the phone. I didn't hear it start up, and he backed over me. And so I kind of, my starting position was given away because I couldn't play for about a month after that.
Whoa.
And I had always entered local 5Ks, but I kind of started running more often. I ran that next year and realized that I was good at it. And as I trained and took it very seriously, I got really good at it. And then I stopped playing all the other sports, and now I won 4 state championships in high school and have the opportunity to run in college. And so I guess it all kind of goes back to getting ran over.
And you never knew that something that seems so negative could have such a positive impact on somebody.
Yeah, that is the way God works, though, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly. He's always turning those things into something good. Well, so this morning, I know you were kind of on the phone with one of your runners at Wallace State, where you are helping to coach there with the cross-country team. So you've got that going on. You've got missions trips. I know you went to New Orleans recently. Tell us a little bit about that.
Okay, so New Orleans, that's a trip that my youth group takes pretty much every year. We may be, exploring some other options in the future. But we go to we work through an organization called Mission Lab, and we stay on a seminary campus that they have in New Orleans. And so that's a lot of fun getting to be around that, because I'd love to go to seminary one day.
Yeah.
And so we go down there and we work in various VBSs. We prayer walk the city. We pray for homeless people, just listen to their stories. We bring care packages and give them to them. Try to make them feel loved. Do evangelism where we can. You'd be surprised. Lots of homeless people, they know Jesus, they know of him. They already have a very set opinion on the way they feel, but it's something that we go and we try to do good and serve. But every year I'm actually more blown away at the work that's done in us. And as we come back to Geraldine, our youth group's so much closer, and there's just a fire that's lit under everyone to want to grow closer with Christ and serve him more once they've seen kind of the real world and how bad it can be in New Orleans. So it's an amazing trip we do each year.
Gotcha. So this guy is super busy, running all the time, and he's got to run to keep up with all the stuff he's doing. We'll get into a little more of what he's up to and what's in his future coming up after this next song. But hey, like I said earlier, we are over on Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, and Twitter right now. So if you have any questions for Collin, please go ahead, drop those in the comments, and we will get to those. And we can chat while the music's playing, okay? So if you're on the radio, you can swap over and watch us there on the socials. Here's Toby Mack, Speak Life, right here on the Lifeline Morning Show. And we are back with Collin Mayfield right here on the Lifeline Morning Show. He is the outreach minister at Geraldine First Baptist Church, and he is staying busy. And that's an understatement, because this dude is all over the place. Such an honor to have him here in studio with me this morning. So I know that you have, you're out in the community a whole lot. I know you were talking about being a part of, heavily involved with FCA even. So tell us a little bit more about that, and with the youth group at your church and things like that.
Definitely. So not having, like we said before, we're off the radio a second ago.
Right.
Not having a set of responsibilities as outreach pastor. My pastor really just wanted me to kind of find my way in what I was going to do. And he knew that it wasn't something I was just going to slack off with, so he was kind of able to do that.
Yeah.
But working with FCA, that was how I met two of my best friends, Skylar Venable and Emily Webb. They headed out for DeKalb County. They brought me on as a character coach, and I actually got voted Character Coach of the Year for DeKalb County, so that was really cool. But so what I do with that is in various schools across the county, once or twice a week for the longest time. Now that we're in the summer, I'm not doing it, but I would get to go and do devotions with teams. And, having had a really successful career in high school with running, it was really cool because, kids would look up to me, listen to me. And lots of fruit came from that. It was also something where I could go as outreach minister of my church, invite people to my church. And so working with FCA was one of my favorite things I got to do over the last year.
Yeah, I love how connected they are with our kids in the schools, because they're all over the place, these different huddles they have going on. So bringing in people like you to kind of help with the devotions, man, that's awesome. Love that. So let's talk a little bit about what's coming up at Geraldine First Baptist. I know you got a VBS, I think Twists and Turns coming up, right?
Twists and Turns, that's going to be our theme for this year. As people who go to VBS would know, there's a different theme every year. It's always so neat. VBS, I used to look, when I was in it, it was my favorite part of each summer, just because, you get the right people in working it who are just so energetic and make you want to be there and enjoy it. And now I get to be one of those people and working the VBSs.
Yeah, well, that is awesome. Totally fulfilling. But, you are all over the place with the ministry. You're all over the place with Wallace State, helping to coach the cross country. But what are you doing for you this summer? Are you getting to relax any at all?
What I tell people, and just because with outreach ministry, with friends that I've met with the two different colleges I've been to, with the people at church and with college, I find myself so often giving them a call and being like, hey, I'm so sorry that I just now got back to you. And a lot of people will check up on me and say, just what you just asked, Collin, how are you handling this? And to be honest, I do get stressed out about it, but I think I handle it really well. My dad is someone who I say to him all the time, listen, you look like you are so busy. He's, my grandparents aren't doing so well, he's constantly taking care of them. He's the principal at Geraldine, and my family, we're just pretty needy people and want his time. And I say, listen, you are just such a lovable person. People want your time, and it is a blessing that you're so busy. And so I kind of do feel like I'm living 3 lives at once. Coaching, my job with outreach ministry, I'm also running. But, I love every single bit of it, even when it does get overwhelming at some points.
Gotcha. And I understand you've got a little bit of maybe a trip to go see an aunt somewhere across the ocean sometimes.
Yeah.
What's that about?
Across the ocean to Europe. So my aunt moved to Italy when I was really, really young. She went on a vacation, loved it, and she stayed. And she said when I turned 16, so that's 4 years ago, she would pay for me a ticket. And since then, we've had this trip planned, and I haven't actually had the chance to go. I'm not saying I have the chance now. We finally just we're going to make it happen. And so I'm going to Italy to see her the 16th to the 26th of July. And that's actually 4 days after I get back from a mission trip in El Salvador. So not much time at home this summer before I move in at the dorms at Wallace this fall. But I'm such a homebody. It's kind of hard for me to be away from home for so long. But yeah, every bit of it's exciting.
Awesome, man. Well, thank you so much for carving out some time for us today. It's really been interesting to know what all you're up to, because you're just so busy. But I can tell you're doing a great job with it. And you're right. Sometimes those responsibilities, man, it's hard to juggle them. But somehow you find a way. And yeah, you get tired from time to time. But I want to encourage you. Keep up the good work. You're making a difference, man.
Yes, sir. Thank you so much for having me on this morning. It truly has been a blast getting to come here and do this.
Oh, thank you so much. And tell everybody how they can find your church on the socials or your website, stuff like that.
Okay, so we have in Instagram, I believe it's just Geraldine.outreach. On our Facebook, you can just look up Geraldine First Baptist Church, and all of our messages go on there. Besides that, I've had to tell people to do this many times, so I know you can. You just say, Siri, take me to Geraldine First Baptist Church, and you can come visit us. Glad I got to be on here as outreach ministers to invite people to church. But yeah, we would love to have you. We've got classes for nursery to as old as you can age nowadays. And yeah, we would love to have you. We're going through some transitions in our church right now. I'm looking for a new pastor, and so that is would be encouraging to everyone to have visitors.
Yeah, for sure. So thank you so much for carving out some time. And hey, if you do check them out over on Facebook, tell you what, I went there and then I typed in the search bar and I typed in his name, and guess what I found? He's preaching. I saw a preaching video on there. He got job, man.
Yeah, there's I guess I don't remember how many times I've preached at my home church, but I've got to go to lots of different churches on Sunday mornings who also have Facebook Live. So if you look me up and watch any of my messages, that would literally just absolutely mean the world to me. Those are something that I try to do really well, prepare for, just because I want people to, get Jesus out of it. I try to preach the gospel each time I'm there on a Sunday morning, because in my opinion, that's the only thing you need to hear on a Sunday, is because there's lost people in congregations. But that's a whole conversation for another time.
Gotcha. One last thing I want to cover before I let you go, because you're so driven to do this, to outreach, to really reach people, tell them about Jesus. What would you tell that person who is, they've got an idea, they have this passion for people, but they don't quite know how to step out and start reaching out to people? What would you say to them? Any kind of encouragement?
Really for any situation, whether it has to do with something biblical or not, if you have a big idea, something you want to pursue, that oftentimes is not something that you can do all by yourself. If it's new, I wouldn't be where I am today. Shout out to Andy Brown. I love you if you're listening to this. If it weren't for Andy bringing me on staff, kind of giving me the shove into ministry, I wouldn't be doing the things I am today. Hopefully I would have found my way eventually. But you've got to have a mentor, someone who knows infinitely more about the thing you want to pursue than you do. So my advice to anyone pursuing something that's new is to find a mentor, find someone to push you along that knows more than you.
Good advice, man. All right, well, we'll go ahead and hop off the air here. We're going to stay on socials just for a minute or two longer to kind of get to some of these comments. So thank you so much for carving out some time. And here we go. I got some elevation worship for you. Trusting God. All right, so I did see a few comments coming over across socials. Evelyn said she wishes she could run.
Yeah, oftentimes through injury, I have very much wished I could run. It's been tough.
For me, I run not very often. I run toward the ice cream truck, or if something is chasing me, I will run occasionally. But to do it for fun, though, I don't know. So how fast is your mile?
So starting out with cross country, I didn't start running until I was a sophomore, and cross country and track are different. So I've only raced the mile 2 or 3 times, and I ran 4:20. But I got injured, really just about 2 years after I started taking it very seriously. So I didn't really get to explore just how good I really, wished and thought I was going to be able to become. So, everyone's like, let's go run a sub 4 mile. And I believe the number, there's actually only about 1,700 people to ever do it since it was first broken in the 1950s. Yeah. I'm not saying that's something I could ever achieve. It's just, I wanted to see how close I could get. And maybe one day I'll be able to.
Yeah, but we were pretty close, for sure.
Oh, no. 20 seconds is very far away.
All right, I got you. Well, all right then. Anything else you just want to cover before we let you go for today? Anything we didn't talk about?
If there's no comments left, no, I guess there's nothing else. I know we're not on the air anymore. Andy Rim wanted me to give him a shout out.
Cool.
So, he's a really close friend of mine, but I really appreciate y'all having me. Like I said, it's been an absolute blast. Come down here and get to do this. Anytime y'all want me to come back, you just let me know. I'd love to.
Sounds great. All right, man. Have a great day.